You've got to be taught to be afraid of people whose eyes are oddly made, of people whose skin is a different shade. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught before it's too late, before you are 6 or 7 or 8, to hate all the people your relatives hate. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be carefully taught. Welcome to Wednesday Bible Study as we begin with a song from South Pacific, which is a movie way back from 1958 starring Mitzi Gaynor and Rossano Brazzi. There was actually a remake in 2001 starring Glenn Close and Radi Cerveja. It's about sailors and nurses on a naval base on a Polynesian island in World War II. Well, that's very nice, Pastor Dan, you say, but what does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with our Bible study? Well, I think it has a lot to do with our epistle lesson from this Sunday, in which Paul writes to and warns the Romans and, coincidentally enough, warns us, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds. But too often, we are conformed to this world, and too often it begins at a very early age, as this song suggests, by what we're taught. I encounter, as I'm sure you have as well, young people espousing political beliefs. Now, do you suppose those political opinions come from thoughtful, insightful, reasoned research? Typically not. Just like you and I when we were young. Those opinions come from parroting what mom and dad believed. And that process of conforming to the world, that process of continuing to seek that which is familiar and comfortable and easy continues through our lives. And as that process of confirmation continues, we become set in our ways, and we end up being bound and imprisoned by ways of thinking and by ways of being that do not serve us well. And that is why Paul warns us, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds. Well, how does that happen? How can our minds be renewed? Jesus. Our minds are renewed and our lives are transformed by having God revealed to us, and that's a big deal. Having the creative power, the essence of the universe being revealed to us, and for us as Christians, that happens through Jesus Christ, through his life, and what that means for you, through his death, and what that means for you, and through his resurrection, and what that means for you. And just as conforming is a process, renewal and transformation are processes as well. A process that begins by genuinely and sincerely and honestly looking in to see who you really are. Not who you pretend to be, Not who you think you are, but who you really are. And secondarily, and I believe most importantly, coming to terms, as I say ad nauseum, coming to terms with the reality that you are a beloved child of God. You are loved, you are worthwhile, and you matter. And in the process of coming to terms with those realities, you come to terms with the reality that you have to look out, that you are not the center of the universe. Despite how many Instagram photos you send and how many tweets you send, you are not the center of the universe. You've got to be taught to be afraid. Yes, most of us, if not all of us, are taught from an early age to conform to the world. And as a result, we end up seeking the path of comfort and ease and familiarity. But that is not the path of Jesus Christ. And that is not the path to freedom. So Paul faithfully warns us, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed through the renewing of your minds. Amen. Thank you for joining us for this Wednesday Bible study. I appreciate it. Remember to be with us if you can on Sunday, either virtually or in person, as we worship Sunday mornings, 9 o'clock, outdoors. And then in the meantime, as we continue in the process of dealing with our lives, dealing with this pandemic, we continue to use our heads, wash our hands, and use those masks where appropriate, and keep the faith. God bless you all.